water towers in the country. Tell us about that.
Yes. Due to the need that has been there, and again the pinching need for water in our country, the pinching need for us to get access to opportunities that are easily available within the water resources. The water towers, working with the county governments in our different places, and it's not very new. I think what is new is the goodwill that we are getting from the government, the presidency, the minister himself, because as you remember, Kenya has always had about 5 water towers that were known, the big 5. Then we moved to register the water towers to a number of 18.
Yes.
And then there was always a pending list to be increased, and it's kept staying there without no attention to the pain of the people who would suggest them. And I think what is new is not the water towers, it is the goodwill that we are having and we are receiving from the government, starting right at the top with the presidency, down to the minister, who is very keen and very focused to ensure that things get to happen. I think this is
So
new.
are you saying the 70 that you mentioned yesterday have always been there? It's just that
they've always been there, and this is just, as to quote the minister himself, this is just the beginning of a process. We are going to register more, we are going to gazette more through the minister, and we are going to ensure that our water towers are protected, because if we protect the water towers, we are going to have water, and we are going to have livelihoods sorted out. When you talk about the government's big 4, Catherine, there is no way that you are going to succeed in this when you don't have a good forest cover. Industrialization, housing, talk about all this. These are the resources that are expected to come from our forests. And therefore, talking about jobs, you're definitely going to get them out of this process of having a full protected forest cover.
All right. Let's look at, the 70 that perhaps you're saying you're moving towards implementation. Are there people who are currently occupying the land around them? And if so, how do you plan to deal with this? Because there's always a lot of politics when it comes to relocations.
Yes. Allow me to say this. First and foremost, there are various ownership regimes of the so-called water towers. There are those that are under public, there are those that are under community, and there are also those that are owned by individuals.
Yes.
What it means after the process of the ownership, there are some that needed really to be protected in some areas, because there has been that invasion, title deeds are being processed. There is need now to get to the next level of fencing so that you can ensure that these water towers are safe. There are others that the communities are not being consulted. Once you do the gazettement of a water tower, it means that the community will definitely be engaged to know what is happening, whether you are harvesting timber, trees for timber, whether you're accessing any opportunities that are available in terms of the resources and anything else. So that protection, and even going further, to have government resources to ensure that this is a sustainable process. So this is it. So there are not many people that you would say that are living in these lands, but if they are, woe unto them. It will have to be a situation that you have to give up the title deed to the community in this kind of a case. Of course, there is a situation of Sirgoit, which was not actually supposed to be there. The community and the county may have brought it up in a way that it wasn't. But the actual water towers and and the sources, we are going to register all of them. We are now talking, after we were talking about it yesterday, the process. Today we have met with the Ministry of Lands and the physical department to ensure that the titling process, the process of delineation, the process of ensuring that this is properly surveyed is done. So that we are now talking of presenting the final document to be signed by the minister, and thereafter to proceed to start and to get partners near and far to ensure that all these water towers are properly secured. Yes.
Is there a time frame perhaps that you have given yourselves to try and rehabilitate?
This is working in progress. We want to move as fast as possible. We are leaving no time to relax. Even as other things are going on, the water towers and the entire team is ensuring that this process is ongoing. And I think time will tell. And I think we are actually focused on action as opposed to just rhetoric, because this has happened in Kenya for many years, and therefore is now moving from plan to action. And you will actually see quite a lot happening.
Why do you think it has taken this long for us to actually begin to focus on our forests? Because we are seeing the government now really moving in hard on this issue. Necessity
is the mother of invention. We have been pinched, as I've said, again and again. And this has led even to further. I think it's about timing, because timing is very important for some of these things. You have heard even previously ministers saying that there needs to be political goodwill. Now I can confirm to you and the public that there is indeed political goodwill, and none other than the presidency. You saw it was the deputy president who led this, and he clearly stated that this is not a situation of trying to sugarcoat or just photo opportunities and these kind of issues which have happened previously. And therefore the water towers is highly empowered. We now have a lot of people that we have added into our team to ensure that work is done. So quite a lot is going to be done.
So as an agency, you're saying you have the capacity to be able to
We are building. The capacity is not good enough. We definitely need much more. That is why the Parliament and the Treasury needs to look at this. But again, I think they will realize it out of the work that we are doing. It's not a situation of just paper documentation that this is what we need. It is actual work. And something that actually touches the people's lives. And this is where we want the space that we want to feel. Yes.
Is this reflected perhaps in the budgetary allocation that you have asked for? Because most of the times we talk about what we are going to do, but when it comes to the budgeting is when you see that we are not walking the talk.
It's been a gap, and of course we all are aware that the government is strained about all these finances and the resources that are available. But again, it's about priorities. Where the people and the people in this environment is the most important aspect of our lives and even the economy. And the sooner we realize that, because it cuts across, is not just within the ministry that the Minister Tobiko is in, but it cuts across, and therefore we are looking forward to having him and the others speaking to each other, because they know that the challenges that we have, climate change and all these, are cross-cutting. And therefore we expect to get much support, and if someone is doubting, I think everyone is feeling it in the country, and we definitely look forward to get the necessary support. And I actually appeal from the bottom of my heart, our country can only be as successful as our environment, and the need to protect the same can never be overemphasized.
If you recall, we had the Shamba system, and right now it's again something that we always keep referring to. Do you think the system failed us? That is why we are seeing what we are seeing, or it was the implementation that was wrong?
Yes and no. Because, yes, because there are individuals, it's all depended on the various individuals. Because you then have the CFAs that you heard the minister complain about yesterday. And you are given guidelines, there is the processes that you have been taken on that explain what you're expected to do. But then the individuals either choose to mess up or do things that are unlawful. You overstay in a period. If it was ever managed the way it was, 1 year you do your farming, the trees have grown to a specific age, and then you move out and go to a different place. But what have they done? They are abusing the process. They are renting the land to third parties. Some of them are overstaying in some places, like in Kabare, in some of the places, we could see very well that they have been there for more than 3-4 years, and they're just pruning the trees so that they can overstay in this specific place, and therefore people are not. So it is, the pellet system is yes and no, whether it is working or not.
For you, you feel it's more the problem of the implementation.
Yes, it is about the individuals,
what is expected,
and also the lack of capacity of the institution that is supposed to guard this. You find that where I'll give you a very practical example.
Yes.
You talk about, let me pick maybe a place that like Endau in Kitui, 6,000 hectares of land, only 2 askaris taking care of that, that entire place, and there are CFAs in that place. What do you expect about them? They would, if one of them is not well, and the other one is corrupt, the whole place is gone. You go to Mount Kenya region, a place and a region with over 30,000 acres of land, and you only have 8 askaris, and you only have 1 or 2 vehicles. How are they going to do that? The officer in charge of CFS in that organization, you know, sometimes we also need to look at things in the best way. She only has 2 officers in the entire region, and she's expected to deal with 325 CFAs of all this. So the individuals, the capacity to have them do the best thing that they should, this is where now we need, and I expect, just like it has been guided, that the task force that's dealing with that, which I can't discuss here, will be radical in the process of dealing with these challenges. But it's about the individuals. When we talk about forest cover, as we deal with all this, I think everyone needs to be accountable to himself. If you have 1 acre, do you actually have only 64 trees? Because that is what it means. A full area of land of 1 acre, for it to be a forest, you need about 640 trees to 700 trees. So do self-evaluation. Do we have 64 trees on my 1 acre? Can we plant? Do we have 32 trees in my half an acre of land? Have I planted? Physically, just count. You don't have to wait for KFS. You don't have to wait for President Uhuru to come and tell you about what you need to do in your own place. You need to wake up and do what you have to do. Are you using charcoal? Are there alternative sources? And also resources be pushed towards alternatives so that we can change this country for better. Yeah.
All right, as we wind up, tonight on our opinion poll question, we're asking Kenyans, what can we do to save our water towers? What do you think we can do?
Be responsible. Take it up about yourself. Your life, my water is about me. What am I doing to have more water? Are you saving water to start with at your own home? Are you trying to recycle where you can? Are you managing the sand? Do the counties have policies to protect? Right now, we only have a few counties. Kitui County has a charcoal policy. Narok County does have one within its environment policy. And Kajiado is working towards it. But where are the other counties? What are they doing to ensure that they save their own people? How many boreholes do we have that are not functional in this country? And yet we are still asking for much more. So I think our success is equivalent to what action we take. And we have to be real. This is not just the talk that we have been having as a nation. The pain is real. And we just have to wake up at the individual level. This is not government issue. Government is me and you.
Will the overhaul, that we are seeing taking place at KFS also deal with some of, the problems? Because there has been the perception that KFS officers have been colluding with some of these illegal loggers. Partly
yes and no, because I believe it is going to lead. So, as I said, responsibility must be taken at one point or another without having to have pointing and accusing fingers. But we all have to take responsibility. If something is not working in my organization, I would step aside and be able to allow good opportunities and good ideas to come. And therefore, it is, at the end of the day, it is the individual responsibility and the policies and the rules and because there are conflicting laws that we do have across the country on matters of protection. So that we have the land law, the survey, the MCA, the Constitution of Kenya, not speaking and breathing to each other. And I think some of these things, once we get them sorted out, in the process, there has never been any goodwill like it is now. And that is why it is our responsibility and time to deal with this.
But should we also, see prosecutions arising out of this, not just, seeing people stepping aside, and then the question always comes back is, who takes responsibility?
And that is where, and I've said it before, until and unless we get people getting locked up, and so that not only them, but the third generation or fourth generation of their families get to understand what their parents did, then we can never get there. But I think You see, this is a process, and we are almost getting there. The Offenders Act and the things that are needed in terms of rules, the laws, the regulations, the policies, we need to have all this in place. And then this will definitely fall in place at the right time. And it is a criminal offense to mess up environmental, ecological space in this country.
All right, our time is up, but I want to give you 10 seconds just to look straight into that camera and talk to Kenyans as regards what you really want them to do to save our water towers. Just 10 seconds.
The situation is bad. The difference is me and you to protect the environment. Let's take individual action. You can rest assured in my space, I will do what I have to do. Get to do yours. I've always called for Kenyans to plant trees equivalent to their age. Make it interesting for you to be able to plant, create a reason on your birthday, on a different day, and create those 64 trees that you will always treasure and they will always be enjoyed. Plant various different trees. Is it for fruit? Is it for exotic? Is it for firewood? For whatever, medicinal, and get to be the difference. The difference is you. Be the difference.
So how many trees have you planted based on your years?
I remember I have done quite a lot. And you remember when we called for the Plant Your Age campaign?
Yes.
It started with calling for 71 trees for Wangari, which I called Kenyans to plant.
Yes.
Just 71 trees.
Yes.
To remember Wangari. And you know, in 1 year, Kenyans had already done 15 million trees. It means we can do it.
So we can get to the 10%.
Yes, the corporates, I mean, it is so easy within a very short time.
Need to
Bamboo is the tree that we can do and start businesses across the country. We can get it done. This thing is very little. We just need the goodwill and just smile over it and stop looking at what has happened before.
We look forward and stop looking
forward
back.
and be the change.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, our time is up. But we do appreciate you giving us insights on what you're doing.
Thank you.